master your monthly review. These days, we're all so busy. We're juggling so many things. So if you're seeking to maximize productivity and make sure you're focused on the right things, and you get to define what the right things are, however you like, a monthly review is a very valuable tool to maintain organization and goal focus. I personally love doing a monthly review because they allow me to assess my progress, pinpoint areas of improvement, and fine-tune where I focus next month. So if you want to elevate your productivity, let's get into this monthly review. Okay, before we even get into reviewing the month, I hope you actually planned the month. And if you didn't, it's okay. Of course, you can still review, but I encourage you going forward to plan your month. Go into your month with intention, okay? That said, I do have another video on planning your month, and you can check that video out too after you watch this one. Okay, I love doing monthly reviews for a few reasons. One, doing a review lets me know where I stand against the things I said I was going to accomplish. Two, it lets me identify the gaps, how far away I am from that goal. And it also lets me know how close I am as well. It's not just about figuring out how far you are away. It also tells you how close you are. Three, it helps me understand how to make decisions and identify areas of improvement. And four, it allows me to celebrate my progress and my wins. And the last reason is it also shows me what's really important to me versus what's unimportant during that month. Because we say things are important, but they're not important, and like our actions really show what's important to us. So a few things that make doing a review easier. Having goals, having goals that you are trying to achieve for the month. Having goals set gives you a marker or a place that you can measure, all right? So that's one of the things that makes doing a monthly review easier. Two, tracking your progress throughout the month. Right? So being able to track your progress. Maybe you write down how often you do something. Maybe you have an app. And then assessing the data and information. Tracking progress throughout the month. So maybe one of the things that you do is you keep a checklist, right? How many times I did this thing during that month. Some people like to keep goal trackers. Also, another thing is having access to data and information. So if you use a budget tracker or a tool like Credit Karma or YNAB, which is you need a budget, or if you use exercise apps, making sure that you have access to data and information about your actions. And I'll tell you why this is important. A lot of times we anecdotally think that we've done something, right? Because we talk about it. There are studies that show talking about something makes you feel as if you did it, right? So you may say, yeah, I've been working out a lot. But if you actually looked at the information in the trackers, maybe you didn't work out a lot, right? Or maybe you think you haven't worked out a lot, but you looked at the data and it turns out you actually did. So it could be trackers, it could be apps, it could be progress photos that you've taken over time. Maybe you're working on your skincare and you've gotten to the end of the month and you feel like there's no change. But if you took pictures of your face every single day and you started to look at that, you could see the progress. So data is so important. Photos of yourself, progress photos, progress videos, that is data as well. Those are some of the things that make a monthly review a lot easier. The first thing that I do when I'm doing a monthly review is I gather the data. All the things that I just talked about, I pull that data together. If we're talking about your business goals, a data element could be your sales figures, your website traffic, your social media engagement. If we're talking about health goals, it could be the things like how many days did you close your exercise ring or how much water did you drink? So I try to track these things using apps. So I love to use apps to track things because boom, I get data. When it comes to your finances, you can look at your spending accounts, your savings accounts, your budget apps. Once you have this data, analyze it and identify trends and patterns. Often the patterns will tell you a story about yourself, your well-being, and your priorities. Let me give you an example. When I look at the amount of money I spend on groceries versus what I spend on ordering out, let's say I spend a lot of money on groceries, but I also end up spending a lot of money on eating out. This tells me I had best intentions to cook and eat healthy at home, but either I was too tired to cook, too busy to cook, or perhaps I needed comfort food. So when I'm in the situation, I may not realize that that's what's happening. When I can zoom out and look at the data, I can see the story that it tells. So if I see that I spent a lot of time ordering Chinese takeout, which is my comfort food, I understand that despite myself, I spent quite a few days feeling sad or frustrated during the month because I order Chinese food when I'm not feeling good, when I want to feel comfort and good. So the data tells you a story. So look at the data and see what story it's telling you. The next tip that I'm going to suggest for you is to look at the goals that you set for the month and determine where you stood with those goals. And the data should tell you that, right? So in general, I plan in 6 categories. Those categories are health, finance, career or business, development, lifestyle, and relationships. And for the month, I set no more than 2 goals in each of these categories. Now, mind you, you don't have to set a goal in every category. You don't even have to follow this if you don't want to. This is just what I do. But these are the types of goals that I set. And here's a quick peek at the goals that I set last month using my planner, okay? Now, I look at these goals and determine, did I reach this goal? If not, did I make progress? What's left to do to get me to the goal? If I didn't even make any progress, is this goal even important to me? One of the things that we have to be honest with ourselves about is, are we setting goals that turns out this is not really a priority for me? So should I even put this goal to the next month and try again, or should I just drop it all together because this is not really important to me? And this approach gives me a chance to assess where I am, where I need to be, and it sets me up to plan the next month as well. So that said, make sure you look at your goals for the month and do that assessment. How far away am I from the goal? Did I make progress? If I didn't, is this even important to me? Okay, so do that assessment. If you didn't set goals for this month, I encourage you next month to set goals as well. And feel free to use the categories that I use as well. Okay, on to the next tip. So I love a goal, right? And one of the things that I notice is that we don't check off our goals. We feel like failures. And so tip 3 is to identify any accomplishments that you had during the month that may not have been on your goal list. What are some of the things that I did that I can and should call a win? Just because it wasn't on my list, right? I didn't give myself credit for it, but now I want to give myself credit for it. So let's give ourselves credit for the things that we accomplished, either big or small. Because again, I don't want you feeling like because you didn't check boxes, you failed, right? You did some things that weren't in the boxes. So for me, for example, this month I finished helping my daughter set up her financial systems. I want her to be more financially responsible and savvy. I also want her to get out of my pockets soon. And so that I'm trying to help her set up her financial systems. So I didn't list this as a goal, but this is something that I accomplished and I want credit for it. So make sure you take the time to identify some of the accomplishments that weren't even on your goal list, okay? And tip number 4 is to reflect on the month. Journal. Journaling is so good because it opens up your creativity, right? And it's not just about data and did I or didn't I, but now you're reflecting and thinking. So a couple of journal prompts I'll give you is 1, what went well this month? What went well? 2, what are you proud of this month? What are you proud of yourself for this month? Like if you were bragging on yourself to yourself, what would it be? 3, what didn't go well this month? What were some of the things that were slip-ups? 4, what could you have done better or differently this month to have a different outcome? And then 5, what did you learn or realize about yourself? Well, those are a few journal prompts that I think are important to sit back and reflect because again, you're not just trying to see if you check boxes, you're trying to get a better understanding of yourself so that you can make better decisions going forward, all right? So that you can continuously do more of things that work well for you, do less of the things that don't work well for you, and understand yourself even better. Again, not just about checking boxes, also about learning ourselves and how to master our own mind and motivation. All right, tip number 5 is really about the bigger view, okay? Reviewing the month is more of a zoomed in view of your quarterly and annual plan. Hopefully you have an annual plan that you've broken down into quarters. Now that you've done a full month review, let's zoom out and see how you're doing against your quarterly plan and your annual plan. And this will also help you understand the progress towards the bigger picture, towards like your larger goals and where you might need to make adjustments, okay? This will help you inform your quarterly plan and your annual plan. Maybe you have some things in your annual plan or your quarterly plan that based on how you've been acting the last couple of months, you might want to just take off the list. Or maybe you've noticed that you prioritize something that was not in your quarterly plan or your annual plan. And so maybe you just need to add that to the list. Like, oh, you know what? I realized that I spend a lot of time doing this, or I watch a lot of videos about this. Maybe this brings me joy. Maybe I need to add it to my annual goals, my annual plan, right? So maybe I need to make adjustments. You can always make adjustments. What you set forth What you put down in writing on December 31st, you are not beholden to for the whole year. It is up to you to decide as you go through this where you want to shift, change, and tweak. At any time, you have the power and the right to make changes to your plan. It's your one and only life. You get to do that. And so take the opportunity when you're doing your monthly reviews to zoom out and see how things are playing out for the quarter and for the year, and either double down on the things that you said you were going to do, or take something off the list or add something else to the list, right? That is totally up to you. You are in control. Tip number 6. Now that you've reflected, you've assessed your goals, you've identified your wins and your achievements, use this information to inform next month's plan. Now it's time to set up next month's plan. Do that based on what you did this month. So pay attention to what you realized and learned from the month. Look at your gaps, look at your priorities, and so let that play into how you approach next month. And if you need some help figuring out how to plan next month, check out my video on how to plan your month. So I also have a video on how to master the month, looking forward and building out a plan, okay? Do that as soon as this is done. But mastering your monthly review process is an important way to incrementally manage your goals for the year. Yearly goals feels big and overwhelming, but when you think about it incrementally, it makes it so much easier to manage. So manage it month to month, week to week, day to day. So if you'd like to grab a copy of my monthly planning journal that includes the monthly journaling prompts and pages that I've been talking about, it also includes weekly planning pages and daily planning pages as well. I'll drop a link in the description box so you can grab that. It's only $15. I hope you found these tips helpful. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Turn on alerts so you get notified whenever I post new content. And thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.